If you're stuck at a certain revenue level and you feel like you've tried everything, then this episode is for you. Because for me, to scale to $1 million a year, it wasn't about doing more, it was actually about letting go. And in today's episode, I'm gonna share the 5 things I had to let go of in order to hit 7 figures, and you're gonna love it. Let's dive in. Today, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 things I had to let go of. These are not small things, they are big shifts in my identity, in my tactics, in my strategy, things that I had to let go of in order to hit $1 million a year. So if hitting $1 million a year is a goal for you, then you are gonna love this episode. Now, I wanna let you know from the beginning, this is part of a 2-part series. So in the next episode, I'm gonna talk you through the things that I had to start doing once I hit 7 figures, because again, every new level requires a different version of you. And so I think it's really important that we have these conversations about what got us here won't necessarily get us there. Let's dive into the 5 things I had to let go of first in order to hit 7 figures. So the first thing I had to let go of is doing everything myself. And it seems kind of obvious, right? But it's actually easier said than done, or at least it was for me. For a lot of creators, for a lot of small business owners, when you start out, you're kind of in control of everything and you're responsible for everything. So the journey of letting go and delegating responsibility, delegating outcomes, bringing people into your team, it kind of takes a bit of a process. And so I'm going to walk you through what was the order in which I hired people and at what level did I hire people. So my first hire was a VA, and that was really about how do I get myself out of the day-to-day admin? And that was a really important hire. And I really recommend that you hire a VA before you hire anyone else, because there is low-hanging fruit that you should not be doing in your business if you want to scale. The next hire for me was helping in delivery. And so once I'd got the admin stuff off my plate, the next hire was, okay, how could I get someone to support me in delivering my service? And so we hired a coach. Her name is Darby. She's our head coach in our program today. And we hired Darby to come into the business and to support me with the coaching, because if I was doing all of the delivery, it meant that our number of clients was capped. So delivery was really important. The next hire was really important, and this helped us to catapult into this 7-figure. We started hitting 130K a month once we made this hire. And this hire was a salesperson. And I was so reluctant to let go of sales because I had always been the salesperson in my business. I had this belief that people wouldn't buy from me if I didn't sell them. And so shifting and letting go of sales was huge, but it was such a powerful shift because it meant that someone was signing clients for me, someone was delivering to the clients. I'm still involved in the delivery, but someone was supporting with the delivery, and someone was looking after the operations of the business, and all of that was being done without me. So those were the 3 big hires that I made, and they made the biggest difference. And I can look at our journey and go, right, I made that hire, that hire, that hire, and I wouldn't have hit 7 figures if I didn't make those 3 hires. When we hit 7 figures, we started investing in more video, stuff like this. We invested in a studio. All of that other stuff came after we hit $1 million a year. So I think that's kind of important to know. Now, the final hire that I think is really, really important, and we don't talk about it enough, is I had to hire support at home. I think a lot of the time when we think about giving ourselves more space, more capacity, we think about growing our business, we just think about the business. So we think about what we can outsource in the business. But I had to look at, okay, what's happening at home? How does my home life look? And can I get support at home in the same way? The same way that I'd outsource something in my business, could I outsource it at home? And it's been such a blessing to me to have someone come into my house once a week, clean my house. I come back into my home and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can breathe. I feel good. I think it's really underrated. And I think it's something that is such a blessing to be able to do that. But also, I think it really impacts your business. If we can have more space at home, if we can have more support at home, I know that that directly impacts our ability to grow and scale a business. So letting go of doing everything yourself. I know there's some mindset stuff that comes up as we think about delegating, as we think about outsourcing. And even particularly when it comes to the home stuff, it can feel really confronting to actually go, I need help here. I know for me, if I didn't let go of those things, I wouldn't have been able to hit $1 million a year. So the second thing I had to let go of is saying yes to every opportunity. There are 1,000 opportunities. There's always new things that you could be doing, new offers that you could sell, new clients that you could work with, new niches, businesses you could buy. There's so many opportunities. And I had to kind of go, right, I want to hit $1 million a year. I am not going to do it if my focus is spread thin. I'm not going to do it if I'm not consistent. And so I had to say no to a lot of opportunities. I had to say no to podcasting, like me going on other people's podcasts. I had to say no to being an affiliate for other people's programs. I had to say no to doing new offers. I just had to focus on the same thing and like really stay determined in order to reach the target. And the interesting thing is, once we hit 7 figures, I then was able to employ more people. I was able to have a bit more space. I had more margin in my life. I had a bit more profit to play with. And then I could say yes to more opportunities, speaking gigs, podcasting, all of these other things, launching a YouTube channel. I really wanted to do that earlier, but I knew that I had to wait until the time was right. And I had to focus on one thing at a time. The third thing I had to let go of is little business energy. I run it's technically a small business, but that does not mean it is a little business. And so I had to really change my identity and go, okay, cool. No, I'm doing big things. I'm building something big. If I'm building a 7-figure business, that means my identity needs to match that. And so I had to let go of this identity of, I'm just a coach and I just help some people with their marketing, and the way I talked about my business had to change. The way I presented myself online had to change. The clothes I wore had to change. I had to really present myself with confidence. I rebranded. I went all in on a personal brand. I had to ditch little business energy. And I know for me, coming from maybe a small town, small city, I guess, and a lot of the ideas around business kind of put a ceiling on me. And so I had to go, right, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to change my situation. I'm going to change who I'm hanging out with. I'm going to shift some of these things so that I can ditch that little business energy. And so I think it's really important to position yourself around people who are doing what you want to do. So just because you run a small business doesn't mean it's a little business. Really important mindset shift. The fourth thing I had to let go of is overcomplicating my systems. I am good at a few things. Systems are not my strong suit. I've learned this. As a creative, I'm good at the strategy, I'm good at ideas, but systems I suck at. And so I had to really work on, okay, I have to document every process so that any person could walk into my business and understand how to do the tasks and do the things in the business. Because a lot of the time we have our systems in our head. We're like, oh, okay, cool. I do things like this. I onboard my clients like this. But if we've never documented the process, it means that no one else could step in and do that task. It means that you are doing all the things. You are the keeper of all the knowledge. And that's not how you're going to scale. So I had to really go, okay, I've got to step into how do I document every process? How do I make sure that every single thing that is done in the business, that's delivering to clients, whether it's marketing, whether it's selling, every single part of my business has a process that someone could follow. And we've got to codify our processes so that it's rinse and repeat so that people can step in and do that for us. Because as you start to expand and as you start to hire a team, or maybe you want to start automating, if everything is in your head and never out on paper, or maybe it's like outdated and your SOPs have never been looked at in like a year, then you're going to find it really hard to streamline and automate and also delegate some of your processes. So that was a huge learning for me. I had to get out of like avoiding systems and I had to step in and go, right, I've got to take control of this and I've just got to really take it back to the basics and simplify and document every process. And the final thing I had to let go of, and this is a really, really important one, especially for right now, I had to stop relying on social media for my lead gen. This is a big one. Our organic strategy is really about brand awareness. It's really about starting conversations, building connection, community, building an audience, right? But if you rely only on social media for your lead gen, you are leaving money on the table, one, but you are totally at the mercy of the algorithm. And that is not a good place to be. That is not how you're going to scale. because it's unpredictable. You don't know. You don't have control over it. And so what we did is we had to focus on A, building our email list. So that meant lead magnets, funnels, all of those things. And B, we had to focus on paid ads. So yes, we still get clients through our Instagram, through our organic socials, through our podcast. We absolutely get clients that way, but we also diversified our lead gen strategies so that we're not relying on one thing. And I think it's really, really important, especially for us right now. So if you feel like you are reliant on social media for all your leads, if you are relying on word of mouth for all your leads, it's time to diversify, looking at paid ads, looking at your funnels, looking at your email list. That is how you build a sustainable lead generating system, which is so, so important. And it puts you in the driver's seat in your business growth, because leads equals clients equals more money. And so if we don't have the leads piece sorted, if we don't have a system for that, we can't grow, we can't hit the goals that we want. And so we had to realize, okay, yes, social media is so powerful. Yes, we get clients here, but where else could we be getting clients, and how do we make that a system? So you've got to stop doing everything. You've got to stop saying yes to every single opportunity. You've got to ditch that little business energy. You've got to stop overcomplicating your systems, and you've got to stop relying solely on social media for your lead gen. So if you loved this episode, I have 2 asks of you. Number 1, please hit subscribe or follow wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. It means the world to me, and it means that we can create more epic stuff like this for people like you. Thank you so much for doing that. Second thing, tune in to the next episode where I'm sharing the 5 things I had to start doing once I hit 7 figures. I go into some really juicy details and some really specific tactics, and I think you're going to love it. Catch you soon.